So should you start an e-commerce business that you're passionate about or where you see a market gap? I mean, okay, the ultimate answer is if I had to choose, it's got to be where you see a market gap ultimately. But if you can combine that with something you're passionate about, it makes it a lot easier. And the reason is in order to be successful in e-commerce today in 2025, you have to understand the emotional needs of the customer. If you don't understand what the customer needs and whether or not it's a heaven or it's a hell, it's very difficult for you to communicate effectively with that customer, because if you don't know who your customer is, if you don't know who your customer is, if you don't know what makes them tick, it's very, very difficult. But to look at some of the biggest e-commerce businesses that we've scaled over the last 20 years, sometimes they're the most boring things, like car batteries, like brake pads for for your car, like spare parts for your fridge, like water filters, like basic. You can't you don't have to be that passionate, about certain things, but you do have to understand what the customer needs emotionally. But then on the flip side, we've seen a couple of businesses be incredibly successful because they were very passionate about it. There was one business in Manchester she was a solo female entrepreneur, and she didn't know much. She knew what the customers wanted. She was very passionate about the industry. She absolutely knew inside out emotionally where the customers were. She was selling like hair extensions, and she did incredibly well. And she saw the market gap, but she also was passionate about the business. That's why she was successful.
Like you say, there's got to be a market gap, or there's got to be a position. There's got to be a space for you in the market. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a business that is a hobby project for you that you're just going to pour money into, and that's not what you're doing it for. You're doing it for an income. You're doing it for to replace your job. You're doing it for something that could be a lifestyle business, or you're doing it for something to build to sell. So you do need that gap to kind of run along. But like if you look at all the founders we work with, they kind of fit the business they run. You know what I mean? Like if you took some of the business owners and put them in charge of the other business owners, it wouldn't make sense. They all kind of seem to fit. Like, there's a guy that sells dust spares. He fits that kind of business. There's someone that sells goat milk soaps. She fits that kind of business. They all fit the business.